AI agents are the new employee. Your company's next hire might not be human. It very well could be an AI agent. We need to stop thinking about AI as a tool and more so look at them as employees. In fact, according to Deloitte, 23% of companies already employ AI agents. And that number is expected to grow to 75% or more over the next several years. But what does this mean to your career? If your company stops hiring humans and starts hiring AI agents, what does that mean for your career? What does that mean for your future job options? What are your clients and customers going to need? We'll get to that in just a moment. Hold that thought. The reality, guys, is that this topic, this idea that humans are being replaced by AI is not new. You know, channel subscribers would know we've covered story after story about this happening. Just last week, guys, we covered a story where the Twitter co-founder, Jack Dorsey, made a move to replace 4,000 employees at his new company, Block, with AI agents. Let me repeat that for everyone in the back. Block, which is led by Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey is not a nobody. This guy is a big deal. He fired 4,000 employees. Why? Because he wanted to use AI agents instead. But don't just take my word for it. Listen to this quote. "I don't think we're early to this realization. I think most companies are late. Within the next year, I believe the majority of companies will reach the same conclusion and make similar structural changes." Guys, this is exactly what's happening. Companies are recognizing that, well, maybe instead of hiring humans, we can hire AI agents. And I know what you're thinking. I know what the critics say. Guys, we get hundreds and hundreds of comments on these videos. Why? Because this is an important topic and you guys are very well informed. And by the way, you changed my mind on things too. I've read books that are recommended. I read articles that are recommended. If you have any additional information and resources, I am hungry. I want it so I can relay it back. Regardless, one of the most common critiques to this idea that AI is going to replace humans is that AI is a security threat. It's unpredictable. It can be manipulated. It poses an insider threat to your organization. But does this sound like anyone you know? I mean, guys, just last week, Karen from HR was clicking some random link in an email she received, which upended the entire organization's security framework. Guys, AI agents can be manipulated, they're unpredictable, and they pose insider threats. This sounds exactly like a human. Humans do the same stuff, guys. Humans are unpredictable, we do stupid stuff. We're combative, we're trouble. We're trouble. And don't get me wrong, I love humans. Humans rock. That said, the same critiques that we make against AI agents as employees, you could make the same argument as to why humans are problematic from an employee standpoint. Guys, we're entering a new era where every company with a computer will use AI agents. Some of the jobs that humans do within the next 10 years, people are gonna be like, you have a human doing that? Why don't you just download this AI agent? It'll cost you $50 a month and it'll save you $5,000 a month. That is happening. It is, mark my words, that is going to happen. And maybe not even within 5 years, maybe within a couple years. And I'll explain why in just a moment. But we're entering this new era where companies are going to, any company with a computer is going to use an AI agent. They're going to treat that AI agent like an employee. It's not going to be a tool. It's going to be an employee at the organization. You'll probably even give it a name in some cases. But these employees are special, guys. These AI agent employees are special. They're different from human employees. These employees don't just work faster than the humans, which by the way they do, way faster than humans. They don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't watch Netflix, they work 24/7, 365, okay? But not only that, they make decisions, they automate tasks, they plan out workflows, they use different tools, they review data, they adjust, and in a lot of cases, guys, these AI agents are gonna do that work a lot more effectively than you or I. I mean, just last week, guys, we covered a story where a developer built out an OpenClaw agent called Larry. And what Larry did was it learned TikTok data, it went into the analytics, it created tons and tons of content, it reviewed, it iterated, it made adjustments, and in just a few weeks, it was getting insane results for this guy. In fact, within 5 days, this agent got 500,000 views on TikTok and generated thousands of leads, generating $700 in monthly recurring revenue. We have an entire video on this, guys. This is already happening. I'll post a link to the video here. You're gonna be, if you haven't heard about this, you need to watch this. This is already happening. Do you think it's not going to stop? Do you think the companies are gonna say, oh, no, we just don't want the AI agents. Humans are too, no. The AI agents are gonna be the new employees, guys. Go watch that video. Now, again, on this channel, we've preached about this. I preached about this, it feels like, incessantly. The problems that you solve now are not gonna be the same problems that you're solving in the future. The future is just going to be different. The same problems you're solving now are not gonna be the problems you're solving probably in the next 5 years. What problems are you gonna be solving in the next 5 years? Hold that thought, we'll get there in just a moment. First, I wanna just kind of look at, well, what does this AI agent workplace even look like? Because if you don't understand what the workplace looks like, how do you figure out where you fit in? How do you figure out the problems that you can solve? What does this AI agent workplace look like? Well, you own your company, you're a hiring manager at your company, you work within an organization. What do you need? You need people to solve tasks. Well, not anymore. Now you're going to be onboarding and hiring AI agents. And it's going to be very similar to the way that you onboard employees. You're going to need to effectively define the role. You're going to need to vet them. And well, what does that look like? Well, humans, you're typically going to look at a resume. You're going to look at their experience. You're going to ask for references. Well, with AI, you're going to look at, well, what's the LLM that this is based on? What are the training models? What are the guardrails in place? What kind of results has this AI agent had in the past? You're gonna look at all this background information, because similarly to a human. And just like you do background checks for a human, you're gonna do the same thing for agents. Which model is hallucinating the most? Which models have the biggest security breaches? Lord knows there's a lot of them, and you're gonna wanna know about them. And what you're gonna see here, guys, is that the companies that execute and test and iterate are gonna win big. And this is something I think a lot of people don't understand, or maybe fight back on. I see a comment a lot, and I was listening to the All In podcast the other day, and David Sachs was making this comment that, well, we're not seeing a lot of layoffs just due to AI. We're seeing some. Last year, there's a reported 55,000 layoffs directly attributed to AI. Already this year, we saw Jack Dorsey attribute 4,000, and there's more. But what we're going to see here is that as companies test, iterate, and solve problems, those references, those resumes for AI models and AI agents are gonna get stronger and stronger and stronger. And when you see a company, let's take Salesforce example. I know they're a little controversial here, but let's say Salesforce lays off half of their customer service staff, which they did, in order to use AI agents, which they did. And let's say it's massively successful. And they've had problems with it. I won't get into that. We covered that in another video. You can go check that over here. They had to rehire people back. Mind you, they're not always hiring back as employees, but a lot of time is 1099 independent contractors, which brings on its whole new level of working experience. Regardless, what we're gonna see is when companies are massively successful, every other company is gonna follow suit. They're gonna like, look at the resume for that AI agent. Look what they did. We want that, because AI agents have a lot of value. And as they solve problems, these AI agents are gonna become more, we're gonna hit an inflection point. I think a perfect example is automobiles. At a certain point, it is gonna be crazy to actually drive your own car. Everything is gonna be fully self-driven. No doubt, it is going to happen. And everyone that's driving Uber, everyone that's driving Lyft, everyone that's driving an Amazon delivery truck is gonna be replaced. It's gonna happen very quick, because the regulation is gonna open up, the data has become secure, people are gonna have a higher level of acceptance. I'll give you a perfect example of how this rolled out. QR codes, you know, those little square boxes that you can scan with your phone, and they'll pull up a link. Well, that technology has been out for decades, okay? But when COVID happened and
Restaurants stopped handing out menus. They said, just scan our QR code for the menu. All of a sudden, QR codes blew up. Now everything has a QR code. I'm in marketing, we use QR codes all the time. They're great, okay? But that technology was out for a long time. It just took one small inflection point to change the dynamic of the global consensus of how that technology works. The same thing is gonna happen with a lot of technology. Once there's a global consensus, once there's enough acceptance, once the receipts are there, companies are gonna start to adapt this very, 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 very quickly. And guys, it doesn't just stop there. Like, you know, just like humans. So we've talked kind of a little bit about the acceptance and the implementation on the HR side, right? The companies that test and use this technology are gonna win. But let's go back to this onboarding. I got a little bit off topic. Let's go back to this onboarding here, right? You know, just like when you onboard a new employee, you're gonna give that human access to data, to logins. And you know, this is gonna be the same thing with AI agents. Different AI agents are gonna have access to different sorts of business processes. You know, the AI agent you're using to summarize meetings is not gonna have the same access as the AI agent that's writing code for your website, right? They're gonna have different levels of access, same as employees. And just like with humans, these AI agents are gonna require supervision and management. In you know, in some cases, more than others. You know, and I hate to think about, you know, I have to manage humans and I have to manage employees, I have to supervise them, but we do. We need someone watching our work and keeping us accountable. It's gonna be the same thing with AI agents. You know, these AI agents are gonna require the supervision and management. Humans are gonna need to stay in this loop to make sure that we can control the AI's actions, the permissions, policy updates, token usage, even financial transactions that these AI agents are gonna be trusted to do. I mean, we covered this in a video a couple days ago where a guy gave his OpenAI or his OpenClaw AI agent access to a Solana wallet and just started giving away crypto for free. Yo, did you catch it or did it happen too fast? Like, why was it unpredictable? Why did it work outside these guardrails? These are problems that he's gonna need to solve, that he's working on solving, and then it can be replicated. I'll post that whole video here. It was a really fascinating article about what this OpenClaw agent did. Very fascinating. You know, what systems are gonna need to be in place for this new AI agent employee? How, it's the same type of thing with humans. Like just this past week, I have different processes in place for the humans that I'm responsible for in the various marketing initiatives that we're pushing, right? And so just this past week, I was reviewing the weekly social media conversion data. I noticed, we didn't post anything on Instagram last week. And I reached out to her, I said, what's going on? Is there a problem? Is there an access problem? We were able to solve the issue. But, you know, if I wouldn't have showed up, that problem would not have been solved. We would have gone week after week after week with no Instagram posts, none of that traffic, none of those sales conversions to our software. So it's kind of the same thing here. Are you checking in on your AI agent? Is this gonna be a weekly, daily? Is it a monthly thing? How often? Depends on the AI agent. It depends on that AI employee. If an agent goes off the rails, how do you stop the bleeding? How do you quarantine it? How do you fix it? How do you stop it from sabotaging your entire organization? You know, what about a firing agent? You know, these agents are going to be entirely embedded in your business. When you fire an agent, what does that look like? You know, they're going to have access to tokens, API keys, webhooks, service accounts. They're going to have cached memory. They're going to have all these dependency chains that depend on them. Firing an AI agent is going to be just as disruptive as firing one of the key linchpins, humans, to your organization. It's very, very similar. Once you start to look at this, once you start to see what the future of AI agents is going to look like, you can start to see, oh gosh, these are serving a very similar role to human employees. And here's to kind of bring us back full circle. We're moving into this world where we're going to be solving brand new problems. The problems you're going to be solving tomorrow are going to be very different from the problems that you're solving today. I've accepted this. Now, I'm 43. I've got a lot of years of productivity ahead of me. And I realize that what I've done over the last 20 years is probably going to be a lot different from what it looks like over the next 20 years. Like, what do those new roles look like? Are you going to have like an AI HR? Are you going to have an HR
staff employee that's specifically responsible for hiring and firing AI agents. You know, you're gonna have an AI cybersecurity, right? Cybersecurity is gonna be huge. Like, if you're interested in cybersecurity, that is gonna be an insanely big field. There's gonna be AI damage mitigation. If you fire an AI agent, or if AI goes awry, or if there's problems, who's responsible for fixing those problems? Who's the fixer? Is it Mr. Wolf? I don't know who it is. For all you Pulp Fiction fans, you probably know what I'm talking about. You know, one of the ideas going back about a year ago is that prompt engineering is gonna be the new skill. Everyone's gonna need to be a prompt engineer in the future. I don't actually think that's the case. And this is what's interesting about AI, is how quickly it moves. I don't think you're gonna need to be, everyone's gonna be a prompt engineer, but prompt engineering is not gonna be complicated. You're just gonna go into your Telegram or to your WhatsApp, or even on your phone call, and even on your phone, you're gonna be able to have a conversation with your AI agent. You know, you're gonna need to understand AI, you're gonna need to be AI literate, you're gonna need to be able to set up guardrails and upload standard operating procedures and make sure that the onboarding is clean, right? Everyone's gonna need to do that. But you're not gonna have to sit there and know like a huge mega prompt to get the best response. This is gonna be something that takes iteration, and everyone's gonna be able to engineer prompts just using regular words. It's gonna be less about text, it's gonna be more about how do you train the AI agent with the right data? Are you using the right LLMs? Are you using the best version? Are you maximizing for token usage? You know, all this stuff. You're gonna be more, everyone is gonna be less of a prompt engineer and more of a chief operating officer. How do the different softwares communicate? What's the order of operations? That's, I think, gonna be closer to what you're thinking about, because that's gonna make it easier for you to offboard and onboard new AI agents. You're gonna be an orchestra. You're not gonna be the trumpet player. You're gonna be an orchestrator of the AI agents that you work with. So that's what I think we need to be thinking about, guys, is, you know, how can we have an understanding of these AI agents? How can we practice with AI agents? How can we get comfortable with them? Because that is what the future looks like. And I promise you, I can't promise, we don't know where everything's going. I don't want to say that. I expect that within the next several years, one of the major questions that you're asked when you're being hired by a new client, when you are being onboarded to an organization, when you're onboarding someone new to your organization, you say, what AI agents would you use? What AI agents have you used? How do you stop problems with AI agents? All these questions are going to be mandatory for operating in this workforce. And, you know, I got to say, if you're not able to do it, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. That's what I believe, and that's what I'm iterating for. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoy this kind of like deep dive, this thought process, this thought experiment into what the future of work looks like, because that's what the channel is about. How does AI impact your world? How can we remain relevant, respected, and financially free? Because please believe the world is changing. It's not going to stop changing, and I don't want you to fall behind. I want you to be part of it. And if you're a subscriber to the channel, I know you're going to be on point. If you liked today's video, smash like, smash subscribe, all that. And check out yesterday's video where we talk about a major hack where 7,000 personal in-home robots were hacked on accident, granting access to microphones, cameras, even home layouts. Go check out that video. It's going to blow your mind and probably give you another example of some of the problems that you and I are going to need to be fixing in the future. See you there. Peace.